Okay, hi. It's Athena StarSeed, and this is a series called Raising Reverence. It is almost like 4:30, and I am at the Mystic Journey, and I'm getting ready to go in and do some readings. However, actually, I'm just going to say this in the sun. So I was driving to the Mystic Journey, and I have been meditating for the last, 3 hours. And I haven't eaten again today, so I'm using my prana. My meditation is my fuel source. I'm digesting the sunlight, and I'm receiving higher messages. So I'm getting more clear, right? The less I have to process when I'm digesting regular food, the more I can process old data in my files, and then I can delete and upgrade. So that's what I'm going to say. So now, as I'm driving, you get these revelations because your mind is empty. So your mind's empty, and then you get a revelation and something unlocks, and then you give a revelation, something unlocks. Sometimes you just review files. Why is this looping? So today I was really meditating on what is the purpose of actually having a Tesla, and the Tesla that I want. Now, I want a Tesla that can be supercharged and will be able to go as far as possible with not having as big of a carbon footprint, right? So I'd like it to be electric. And I'd like to be able to travel and tour with my instruments and my music and my daughter. So that's why the size is important. So as I'm dreaming about this, visualizing myself drive the Tesla back and forth to Arizona and to different sacred places all over California, I say to the universe, I'd like to have a sign that I can imagine pulling the X Tesla, the color blue, right into my parking spot at my house and also at my work. And so I'm driving, and I just send that little arrow out into infinity, and I allow it to just do whatever it's going to do, and then I just continue to meditate. And I'm thinking about everybody that I want to pray for. Every person I've ever been in dance with, or in concert with, or in, what do you call them? The Vescus Pisces, two little circles that overlap, and they cross-pollinate, and then they share each other's energy, and they do this dance where they upgrade because each person shares their own gift. And sometimes that karma, the gift, is the greatest teacher, which is some adversity. And in the university of adversity, if you understand the gift and you open it up, there's always gratitude as a result in the wake of that boat that floats through your ocean of consciousness, right? Back to my point. So I'm dreaming about the Tesla. I'm imagining everything in my life gently flowing down the stream. I see myself parking the Tesla in the parking spot, and I drive up. And here is the very Tesla that I imagined in my imagination, not the 3, but the X. And I even thought about myself going to the dealership and re-driving the X. And here it is. And this is a 6, I think a 5 and a 7 passenger. 6 or 7, I can't remember. But there's 3 seats in the back and 2 seats in the middle. So that's 5, 6, 7, plus the 2 seats in the front. So that's 7. And that would be perfect because the seats can fold down in the back, and you can take the bench out so that you could actually lay down and actually camp if you wanted to go on tour, for example, and sing kirtan or just heavenly messages, arias, any type of an aria, an angel aria. So here we go. Could I have organized the universe to have a Tesla X parked in my spot right near the Mystic Journey, which is right over here? And so I'm actually going to walk you into the Mystic Journey so that you can see how amazing this is. And that, Joe Dispenza always says, blow your own mind. And so I'm kind of blowing my own mind right now because I'm going to walk across the street, and I'm going to show you how close this is to where I work. So it's as if I got out of that car. Can you see it? It's as if I got out of that Tesla and I just started walking to work. So I want to talk a little bit about Yoko Ono because I was meditating and she came to me. And I wanted to honor her for the master that she is. Yoko Ono had a very powerful book about imagine. And she talked about the imagination and imagine this and imagine that and imagine everything. And so that had a huge influence on John Lennon. Okay, so let me just show you. This is where I work. Okay. Can you see it? The Mystic Journey bookstore. Okay. This is where I work. I'm going to walk you in for just a second. And this is how beautiful it is. And this is where we do readings. And this is where our bodies get charged with crystal light. See these crystals? We actually are naturally crystals. See, we have a crystalline structure in our body. And we're also, similar to whales and dolphins, we are record keepers. So the Akashic records, this is like an astral library to Akasha. And so as I'm soaking in the energy of consciousness, imagine if every single one of those books had a vibrational aura that spun around, and anybody that went into the mystic journey felt the frequency of a contact high just by being around the book, that they could absorb the content. Now that might sound far-fetched. However, Edgar Cayce used to sleep on his books, and his astral body would get up in the middle of the night and read them. Now, this is kind of funny because if you watch Doctor Strange, I'll put a link at the bottom for Doctor Strange. If you watch Doctor Strange, he does wake up in the middle of the night and his astral body does read the books that he checks out from the metaphysical library. Okay? And that's how he increased his knowledge, right? He actually went to the library and he was reading a lot of esoteric magic. Now, he could have just as easily sat under a tree and opens his own files. Because that's what the Buddha did. And so did Dharma Sangha. So now we're going to walk back here to a car that right now I can imagine is just exactly identical to mine. And we'll see how long it takes to have these contractions hit, where actually I open this back up and I climb in it and I actualize the reality of my imagination. Okay, back to Yoko Ono. So Yoko Ono was, in my book, a genius. She was a genius, and here's why she was a genius. She used her poetry to ask humans to use their imagination, and she so made love to John and kept whispering those poetry themes in his ear. Imagine a world without war. Imagine what it would be like. War is over. Just imagine. Imagine. So I want to skip to not even going to the first statement, blah, blah, blah is over. I'm just going to imagine the best life possible for myself and everyone, the best life possible. And so I'm going to continue to imagine that, where in my reality, electric cars are everywhere. Electric cars are everywhere. And I'm going to imagine that people wake up every day and do what they love. And I'm going to imagine that the artists return to their art and their heart. And the beings that are inspired patronize the artists. So whether that's patronizing an author or a painter or a poet or a musician or a dreamer. Like when we invest in our artists, we invest in our culture, we invest in our creativity, we give sympathetic resonance to paint the walls in the streets, to dance in our own divinity, to see our unification in diversity. And then allow it to all be wonderful and magical and beautiful and cosmic and creative. And so I'm going to continue to play with these omnipresent themes where we touch the imagination and then we look into the reality and we see the materialization of the manifestation. So the next thing I'm going to imagine is holding the key to my Tesla, because it's easy for me to imagine Teslas. I've been putting pictures all over my Facebook page, and it's easy for me to imagine them around me. And so now I'm going to imagine it so close to being around me that it's like wrapping my physical body, just like this Prius is. And so from electric and gas to fully electric is, for me, a vibrational upgrade. And the same thing with my intermittent fasting. My intermittent fasting can go right into breatharianism, which would be an upgrade specifically for me. And everybody has their own ways to upgrade. There's a million ways, a billion ways, a trillion ways to get into the God self. And every single soul has its own unique university to get itself in. And so I bless you to the level of your allowing. I surrender to my own imagination that all is good in my world and yours too. I love you. Stay tuned. Stay blessed. Stay happy. Stay grateful. And dance with your shadow. Blessings and light.